All right, so here we just finished reading about how he was talking about his dog, Depot, and trying to drink out or get in the way of the barn cats, and how his barn cats seemed pretty tough. He said the cats aren't pets, is what his dad would tell him, that they're there to catch mice, and that's it. So I'm going to turn my light on. It's a little dark in under here. May 2nd, 1938, Monday. Dear Grandma, when I got to the barn this morning, Polly looked like she was sleeping. Then Pa told me she had died some time during the night. She had complications related to Jane's birth. I thought the vet was going to have to help her. Sad. That's what Pa said when I asked him what happened. She looked just like she did when she was resting, but she was dead. I felt her and she was cold. It was awful, Grandma. I started to cry, but Pa said that I shouldn't cry because it's a fact of life that farm animals die, often when we least expect it. He said that we have to expect death and move on. Expect death and move on. I don't know how I feel about that. What do you guys think? Then he said something that I'll always remember. He said that especially on a farm, we run into birth and death regularly. Farm life may be like that, but it doesn't make me feel any better. I loved Polly. She helped me learn how to milk her when I didn't know how. She let me sit under her and tug and pull until I figured out how to make the milk come. Polly and I had our problems too, but she became my friend. Whenever I went out to the barn, she looked at me and mooed, her way of saying, "Hello, how are you?" Even though I shouldn't cry, I had my handkerchief out of my pocket and I was wiping my eyes. I noticed Pa was blowing his nose too. He wouldn't let on that he felt bad about Polly, but I know that he did. He liked this cow. She was gentle and gave lots of milk. I wonder if a calf feels bad when its mother dies. That's a great question. I fed little Jane this morning, and she didn't seem to act any differently than other mornings. But can we always tell how animals feel? I thought about that a lot today. Sorry, that was kind of choppy. I thought about that a lot today. Even Depot didn't seem to be his bouncy self today. He saw Polly dead in her stall just like Pa and I did. I think Polly's death is affecting him too. A big truck came later in the day and hauled away Polly, and now there is an empty stall in the barn. I asked Dad where the truck was taking her, and he said she was going to a rendering plant. When I asked what that is, he said you should look it up in the dictionary. It's been a sad day, Grandma. Love, George. Rendering plant. Wonder if you guys know what that means. Dear George, you can't know how sorry I am to hear that your favorite cow has died. Death is never easy to understand, but it's part of life, George. Every living thing, cow, chicken, tree, must die, some sooner, some later. You never know. Your grandfather Struckmeyer, who died in 1919, he was only 50 years old, far too young to die. He went off to his job at the bank in Cleveland, and he never came home. The doctor said he had a heart attack. This happened nearly 20 years ago, and I still have trouble writing about his death. You probably are noticing the smudges on the paper. They are caused by tears. I shall think about your grandfather every day, and I probably always will. One way to make things a bit easier when a person or animal you love dies is to think of all the good times you had together. It's hard to go on, but thinking good thoughts helps. Your letters help me to keep going. Thank you so much for writing them. I'm so sorry, George. Death is never easy. Love much, Grandma S. May 6th, 1938, Friday. Dear Grandma, I had a hard time studying this week, but I must because the 7th grade county tests are coming up in a few weeks. Still, all I can think about is Polly. See, this is back in 1938 and they still had to take a test to get into the next grade. Pa says he wants to buy another cow, but we just don't have enough money. It seems we're always short on money. I asked Pa about that, and he reminds me that the whole country is in a depression. Lots of people have no work at all, and they have to stand in a bread line to get food, just like you described, Grandma. Pa said that we were fortunate living on a farm because we always have something to eat and plenty of milk to drink. I helped Ma plant our vegetable garden the other day, so we'll have a lot of fresh vegetables by midsummer. Green beans, peas, carrots, potatoes, lettuce, and tomatoes. I'll quit asking Pa when he's going to buy another cow. Even if he does, it won't keep me from thinking about Polly. I never thought I'd miss a cow so much. Isn't that interesting when you don't know if you're going to miss something like that and you do? Miss Harvey seems to understand. She hasn't bawled me out for looking out the window when I should be practicing long division or studying geography. Jane keeps growing. When I go to the barn, the little calf runs to the side of the pen, sticks out her tongue, and licks me. It's a strange way of saying hello, but I sure look forward to it. Jane takes my mind off Polly and reminds me of her too. Isn't that strange? She is starting to look just like her mother, especially around the eyes and the muzzle. Sometimes she butts me with her head when I climb into the pen to feed her. It's a calf way of having fun, I suspect. When I try to scold her, I just can't. Jane tips her head down to one side and looks at me with those big dark eyes, and all I can do is laugh. Jane seems to like Depot too. Sometimes they stand looking at each other. Depot cocks his head to one side, and so does Jane. Is this one way animals talk to each other? Your grandson, George. It's kind of talking about those adaptations that, we were mentioning in the other one about how do animals communicate. And I think George kind of picks up on a few things like animal movement and animal behaviors. And so I'm not going to lie, this was a little sad for me because I have had people in my life that I love, like my son, that have passed away, and it does make me sad to think about it. So I'm probably not going to do too much writing about it. I might say something. 8 day 5 letters from Hillside Farm. And that's my title, so I'm going to underline that. And I have capitals at the beginning of each of those. The from does not get capitalized. Number 1. And this is my connection. You can't write this one because you can write something that might be similar to it, like if you've lost a loved one, but you don't want to copy this one because you guys don't have kids. My son died over 2 years ago, and it breaks my heart. Oops. Breaks my heart every day. +2, I have a capital and I have an end mark. Number 2. My dog was killed by a truck my 40th birthday. That was sad. That was really sad. I mean, that was sad, but this is like not even in the same ballpark. Someone told me when my son passed away that they knew what it was like because their dog died. I wanted to say I don't really feel like it's the same, but that's not my job to tell them that. So I have my capital and my end mark. You guys need to make sure that if you use the word I, the letter I for you, you capitalize it. Number 3. I wonder the same things George does. I wonder if animals are sad when their mom or family die. I don't know. I would think that they could be sad. I've seen some animals, like they say, like elephants and stuff, have cried. So I actually have 2 things. It's kind of a question. Number 4. I wonder if they will be even more short on money because they can't sell milk. Again, capitals for eyes, end marks. Kind of a sad one because she talked about her husband passing away, and I think that's sad. 5. What was the other thing that she talked about? Oh. I think Jane is a cute calf when George talks about her budding him. I, capital for Jean, capital for George, and end mark. Plus 10 out of 10, baby. Some of you guys are giving yourselves 10s out of 10s. You don't get a 10 out of 10 if you don't have your capitals and your end marks. Okay? All right, there we go.